Perks don't build culture, people do. And when you get it right, culture becomes the most powerful growth engine in your business. Welcome to Female Founder Unplugged, the show where we cut through the noise and have a real, raw conversation about what it takes to build and scale a successful business as a female entrepreneur. I'm Lindsay White, people strategy expert, leadership coach, and fellow founder. And I know firsthand the challenges of scaling sustainably and staying connected to your passion along the way. This podcast is for ambitious women just like you, seasoned founders and CEOs navigating the challenges of leadership, team building, and sustainable growth. In each episode, we'll dive into those topics that are most important to you as a female founder. You'll hear honest, no BS conversations about building, growing, and leading a team and culture so that you can grow without losing yourself in the process. Because let's be real, entrepreneurship can feel isolating, and leadership doesn't come with a roadmap. If you've ever struggled with the pressure of running a business, felt overwhelmed by growing your team, or wondered, how do I scale without sacrificing my vision and my purpose? You're in the right place. Let's get unplugged. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to Female Founder Unplugged. I'm your host, Lindsay White, and I am super excited to talk to you about the C in the LPC method, and that is culture. And I think that this is something that most founders completely misunderstand, because this is not about beanbag chairs or office pool or birthday cakes or pizza parties or even Slack emojis. It is about belonging, behavior, and belief. And if you're wondering why your team isn't engaged, why accountability feels like pulling teeth, or why your top performers are exiting your business, this episode is your mirror, and it's also your map. So I work with clients all the time that come to me thinking that they've had a great culture, and they're really alarmed and often very confused when the cracks start showing, when there's this quiet quitting, or there's very low engagement, or misaligned hires, or even the connections and the communication start to get toxic. And I will tell you, I had a client not that long ago that was really struggling with some of these issues, and it was impacting morale in their office space. People were not engaged. There started to become some factions. People were picking sides. And when we unpacked it, it actually went back to a particular episode. And what we actually needed to do was just talk about it. We needed to have conversations about things that had happened in the past so that we could actually move forward. And this wasn't about making everybody happy. Let me be clear. There were some challenging conversations here. But what it was about clearing the air, making sure that everyone felt seen, heard, understood, and most importantly, like they were valued. So then we could get back to working together in a positive, engaging way. And that's what culture really is, how we get work done together. So by the end of this episode, you're going to have some very simple ways to start shaping and nurturing a culture that people don't want to leave, and one that helps you scale with soul so that you can grow your business and your team in a way that feels authentic, that feels really comfortable and confident, and where people, including you, want to work. Well, my friend, cultural drift happens quietly. And here's what happens is that we think we just have culture. We write it down. We have some values. We talk about it once. But the truth is you don't build a culture by talking about it once a year. It's built every day in every meeting, every email, every policy, every single conversation. We hear it all the time. We have values on the wall, but none in our Zoom calls, right? And so this is really, really challenging. I happen to work from home, and sometimes my husband does as well. And one of the things I hear that absolutely drives me crazy is he will be on calls with people in his office space, and they talk over top of each other. There's people that don't have their cameras on, or you can hear clicking and clacking in the background, or people have their camera on, but they're actually looking to the side because they're not looking at their camera. They're doing work. These are the kinds of things that can really cause what I call cultural drift to happen when we are not engaging with each other and doing the work together in a way that honors our values, in a way that honors our differences, in a way that honors each other and just with basic respect, right? And as the leader in our business, it is our job to set the tone. So here's 3 important signs that your culture is actually out of alignment. Number 1, people are afraid to speak up, take risks, or actually give any kind of negative feedback. That is number 1. When I walk into a new organization and I'm doing a discovery to find out why things aren't going well, I will tell you that this is already always at the top of the list, that people are afraid to speak up. They are afraid to fail because they might be criticized, and they are afraid to give negative feedback because they feel like they might be penalized. That's number 1. The second that is really important, the second indicator, team turnover, right? That you are seeing that you are starting to lose some of your top talent, and also that disengagement on your team is rising. People are not staying to have social time. They are not engaging with each other in a meaningful way. People aren't smiling. They're not laughing. You can tell they're not enjoying themselves anymore. And of course, when they're leaving, we know for sure. Now, that's a lagging indicator. But if we're really thinking about how people are working together and we're really listening and feeling into what's happening in our business, we can feel that disengagement rising. And of course, if you feel disconnected from your own company's vibe, if you are feeling like you're not having fun anymore, I can guarantee you nobody else is having fun either. So these are 3 things we as our business leader, as the CEO, really need to be thinking about in terms of where our culture is at. All right. And here's 3 things you can do to start to boost some of your culture, to start to get people to re-engage. So first and foremost, you got to model the behavior. You got to be the change you want to see, right? If you want other people to show up differently, you need to show them what you need. And then the second thing is you need to talk about it. You need to have some shared language, particularly around values and what those mean and how you do them in your business. And of course, around accountability. What does that word mean? We throw that word around a lot in business. What the heck is that? How do we define that? And you might define that in your business differently than I do mine. So you need to think really carefully about your shared language. And then number 3, you need to develop some simple connection rituals. So are you going to do a Monday stand-up? Are you going to do a Friday wins? Are you going to have open spaces where you can be connected with, or some co-working? What is it that you need to do in your business that's going to make a difference? And here's the cool part. You don't have to come up with that all by yourself. The easiest way to start to develop some of those rituals, ask them. And then use your ears and your mouth in the proportion they exist on your face. Ask the question and then shut your mouth and open your ears and listen with curiosity. They will tell you what they want. They will tell you what will help boost culture. They will tell you what will help them be more effective as they work together. And if you do these 3 things, your culture will improve immediately. You will feel the difference. I promise you that. Okay, so here's the valuable lessons that you are going to want to take away from today's conversation. First of all, culture is totally scalable, but only if done with intention. You have to be intentional about how you nurture and grow your culture as you nurture and grow your business. It makes sense. Things get busier, things get bigger, you're adding to your team, and you need to be really intentional about how you keep people working together in a way that's meaningful in your business. And of course, a values-driven culture keeps your team aligned. It keeps your clients loyal. They love that when they know their values align with ours. And what that does is help smooth out any bumps along the way in our operations. Because when we all have the same values in mind, when we're all aligned with the same vision, when we're all on the same mission, and when we have a culture where we can talk about any situations or problems or issues, and we can do that openly and creatively, wow, that makes our business run like gangbusters. Everybody feels awesome about working in that space and about getting after it together. So my best move was introducing a 10-minute weekly values in action moment with my team, where we name what we saw, where we saw our values being lived out, where we talk about where we've really honored those things that are most important to us. And they can be personal or professional. And a lot of times, especially in our small businesses, there's a lot of crossover, right? So maybe the thing to call out is that I finished my work at noon on Friday, and I actually spent some time outside because nature and exercise are important values for me, and we want to honor them in our business. And again, you've got to go first. If you're working until midnight every night and you're working all weekend all the time, everybody else feels like they've got to follow your example. So you need to get clear on your values, and you need to live them and bring them into the business. And what happens is this builds clarity, connection, and accountability, and it builds it super fast. The turnaround in this is remarkable, especially when the most senior leaders are living it. All right, so here's your key takeaways. Culture is a system, not a vibe. Now, you can feel culture. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But it is a system, and that system needs to be nurtured. Your team becomes what you consistently reinforce and what you consistently model. So if you want your team to do it, guess what? You need to do it too. And actually, you need to do it to start. And you can't scale your company effectively and sustainably without scaling its soul. And that's what the culture is. It is the soul of your business. And it needs to be nurtured. It needs to be honored. And it needs to grow along with your business. And sometimes that means it's going to evolve. That's okay. That's absolutely okay. But you can't scale your business successfully without doing that work. So what we've done today is we've tackled the C in the LPC method. And if your culture needs some work, then the LPC Accelerator is a great place to do that, because what we can do is help support you in making those changes and then having those great conversations with your team and implementing some tools and techniques, some frameworks that are going to help you enhance and grow your culture and create spaces where people feel like they are seen and heard and respected, and most importantly, like they belong. Because when we feel like we belong in an organization where our work is really deeply meaningful, that's when we perform the best. You need that, and your team needs that. And that's some of the work that we do inside the Accelerator program. If this is work that you need to be doing in your business, and you already know if it is, I'm going to put the link to the Accelerator below so that you can check out all the details. And I love helping you create rituals and systems that are going to scale your culture. So all you need to do is check out the link for the Culture Pulse Check tool in the link below, or send me a DM in Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, or put the word belong in the comments below where you're listening, and I will absolutely send you that link to the Culture Pulse Check tool. This is my custom tool to help you understand, where's your culture at in your business? What are people thinking and feeling? How are they working together? Awesome. Okay, next week, we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about building a people strategy, not just hiring, but actually planning that team and what goes into a people strategy. Sometimes this is a bit of an unknown. This is one of those strategies that gets left out of a business a lot of time. So we're going to talk more about that. Until next time, lead with heart, grow with purpose, and of course, stay high voltage. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Female Founder Unplugged. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Connect with me on Instagram at High Volt Leadership and send me your questions or let me know your biggest takeaway. Looking for more strategies on scaling your business, building a powerhouse team, or leading with confidence? Head over to highvoltageleadership.ca or follow me on LinkedIn for exclusive content, resources, and special offers just for listeners. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and remember, the real magic happens when you're unplugged.